and it was one of the most dangerous borders in the world. Hey, welcome to the new episode of my show. Today we're gonna visit Gropiusstadt. We're in the southeast of Berlin, although this is part of the former West, which will become important later. To give you an idea of the exact location within Berlin, let's take a short look at the map. Gropiusstadt belongs to the district of Neukölln. It has a population of almost 38,000 and is relatively small and thus dense. My tour starts in the very east of Gropiusstadt, and it will follow more or less the underground line 7 towards the west. We're currently in front of an underground station with the name Zwickauer Damm, and we will start our tour from here. Let's see what we can find. Of course, I made a new list with things to check today, and we're gonna encounter the highest residential building in Berlin. We're gonna see an old windmill, hopefully, if I can find it. And besides that, we'll also go on the traces of Christiane F. You may have heard of her. She published a book in the 1980s. But more about this later, so let's go. I'm walking along Fritz-Erler-Allee, and I found, or for me it was not surprising to find a lot of tall buildings. However, in this area behind me you have a very few single houses, but they're super rare. The density of Gropiusstadt is enormous. These shots give you an impression of how most of Gropiusstadt looks like. Pretty much the whole quarter was erected in the 1960s and 1970s. First plans were in favor of smaller buildings with up to 6 floors. However, the Berlin Wall was built in 1961, and that changed everything. West Berlin was now an island, and space was rare and valuable. Therefore, these buildings became a lot taller, up to 30 floors. I visited the tallest of them. I'm in front of the tallest residential building here in Berlin. It has 30 stories or 30 floors, and I have no number of how many residents. However, it is impressive, and today at a bright day the colors are pretty shiny, so I think it's remarkable, and I will check out the surroundings. You can see that the architecture is quite distinctive. Right next to the Idealhochhaus you will find another remarkable building, the Gropiushaus, shaped like a horseshoe and named after Walter Gropius. He's also the name's patron for the whole locality. Nearby is a little park with old trees and fences to protect wild animals and especially birds. This path led me to the very border of both the locality and the city. We're here at a spot with several borders. We have the sign behind me, which marks Gropiusstadt and Rudow, and just a couple of steps to the other side, over here. Now we're in Brandenburg. So this is actually the border of Berlin. And as you know, Gropiusstadt was the west, and Brandenburg was east. So until 1990, or 1989 to be precise, here was also a border, and it was one of the most dangerous borders in the world. You can't see so much right now. I will go a bit further, and I think there are also some information things around, so I will check them. But let's see. So I walked a few steps further. This area was no man's land.
only accessible to the border patrol. Today it is open space, and a very few information tables tell you something about the history. It is also popular with people to take a walk or a bike tour. However, you will find little traces of the past. No more parts of the wall, no watchtowers, etc. I always love to walk an extra 200 meters into the open space. First, you pass a couple of forgotten trees before you turn around and see Berlin from a whole new angle. I returned to the center of Gropiusstadt because I had read about the exact house where Christiane F grew up. She released a book in 1978 at the age of 16 in which she spoke about a youth full of drugs and social problems. The book was very successful, so was a film. Now there is a new miniseries on Amazon Prime. So I went to the house where she spent those years, only to find everything looking quite nice. Well, what did I expect to find here? I don't know. Instead of contemplating about the past, I watched a pair of sparrows enjoying a bath. I then proceeded to the northern border of Gropiusstadt.
After what feels like an eternity, I have reached Berlin's oldest preserved windmill. You can see it in the photos, and it really looks nice. And I think they invested a lot of effort and money into refurbishing it, because from an old photo which is shown here on the table, you can see that clearly it was in a poor condition.
The most amazing thing about the mill was the environment. You just wouldn't expect such an extraordinary building right in between those dull apartment blocks. Maybe even more amazing was a child's painting in a glass box, though. "We stay at home, everything will be alright. You can do it too," it said. I continued towards Johannesthaler Chaussee and the final stop of my tour.
We've reached the final stop for today. It's Gropiuspassage, and I didn't mention it before, but it is in fact the biggest shopping mall of Berlin. I don't know how they are doing during the lockdown, but in general it's enormous and it looks a bit like a UFO from the outside. However, for me it's time to say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this tour. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and see you soon. Cheers.